Hey guys, what is up? It is Mark with Boozy and Bezel, and today I bring you a pretty fun review, especially just in time for this coming up weekend and next week of Passover. So let's kick this off. First thing, gotta kick it off with a wrist check. I am revisiting something that I wore on my first review, and that is my beloved Lunar Pilot. So I wanted to give you a little bit of a close-up look of this. Like I said back then in the Ben Romick review, I do wear this quite frequently. It is on my own handmade leather watch strap, and yeah, it's a really nice watch. A little big at 45 millimeters. It's nice and chunky too, pretty thick, but I have very large wrists, so this fits me very well. And if you are in the market for one, I definitely recommend it. They do have a stealth version with no date, so it's an all black PVD case. Really cool. If you want the stainless steel version, I recommend you picking up the strap version versus the bracelet, and the reason being is the lug hole is actually slightly off, so the bracelet version tends to not fit leather straps, and in my opinion, this watch is meant for changing up the straps. It is a beautiful strap monster. Yeah, and the cool thing about this watch, it was originally meant for to compete with the Speedmaster, the Omega Speedmaster that went to the moon. So this was for Apollo 15, and so the story goes that this was actually used on the moon because the Omega had failed, which I find pretty interesting. So, take that, Omega. Just kidding, I love the Speedmaster, and this does scratch my itch for the Speedmaster. It's like a Speedmaster. So yeah, that is that. So, today, these are really cool bottles, and it's not a gimmick. Today I bring you some pretty cool wheated bourbon from the oldest distillery, continuously run distillery in America, of Buffalo Trace. It is their kosher wheated. It is actually like the first true kosher bourbon. Not a gimmick, it actually is. They go from blessing the sale of the new virgin oak barrels to cleaning the lines completely. There it is, Buffalo Trace wheated. Now, what makes this so special? First of all, Buffalo Trace. Second of all, wheated. Everyone's immediately going to think this is Pappy. It is not. It's actually the same exact ingredients that are used in the good old Weller. So this bottle from Buffalo Trace comes in 3 expressions. They have the wheated, they have the rye, they have the straight rye, and they all come in at 94 proof, which is, that's not terrible. That's bad, 47%. So I'm going to read a little excerpt from Buffalo Trace's website on a little bit more background on the kosher line. So now I'm going to read a little excerpt from the website on these guys. Buffalo Trace Distillery produced this, or their kosher line, in partnership with the Chicago Rabbinical Council, the CRC, made with the same high quality grains as Weller. And this kosher spirit was aged specifically designated in kosher barrels. In order to satisfy the Passover requirements, these barrels were sold to a non-Jewish executive in a ceremony which was witnessed by a representative of the CRC. After aging for 7 years, this wheat recipe bourbon was bottled at 94 proof, after ensuring the bottling lines were completely cleaned beforehand and no contact was made with non-kosher spirits. Released after Passover every year, this wheat recipe bourbon stands alone, a tribute to the legacy of America's oldest continually operating distillery. So, yeah, 7 years. All 3 of them are 7 years, which is nice. I don't think it says it on the bottle. Yeah, I don't see this. Oh, I lied. 7 years on the bottle. So yeah, really cool. And so that means this puppy, this guy right here, holds the same juices as the Weller, the elusive Weller, which I can't really get a hold of. I got a hold of a special reserve from my buddy Daniel, but other than that, I've seen quite a few of these on the shelves over the last year. So, to me, will this be a substitute that I could actually pick up? So the MSRP for all of these is $40 to $50. Now, I've seen them go anywhere from $100, $150 I've seen charging. So people are smart, especially with the weeded. They do know that they can charge a lot. Buffalo Trace, weeded, people think Pappy, people think Weller's. Charge whatever the hell they want. Ridiculous, and people pay it. That's the worst part. Someone pays $150 for this. I got some really beautiful moon rocks that I collected while wearing this. I will sell you those. Anyways, you better not spend $150 on this, because you're the reason why these bottles, and a lot of these bottles, are ridiculously expensive and impossible for us to get. So let's crack this guy open. I do really enjoy the very clean, simple label. Buffalo Trace always is pretty nice with their labels, but it's just very clean. Wheat recipe, kosher, and little thing. I don't know. I'm not too sure why, but I really enjoy the label. All right, let's go in for a little bit of nosing in this guy. Oh yeah, you can 100% get the weeded out of this. So for those that don't know, weeded bourbons tend to have wheat instead of rye in the mash bill, or they tend to have higher wheat than rye, really however the recipe is, but they generally speaking have wheat instead of rye. So wheat tends to be very softer, very creamier, and that is what I do pick up here. Some vanilla, a little bit of caramel. It is delicate and light. I'm getting a little bit of cinnamon. It's like refreshing, very light, refreshing, easygoing. Yeah, and it just smells so good. All right, let's go in for a little sip. Cheers. There's a reason why Weller's and Pappy and weeded bourbons in general are impossible to get your hands on. They're just so good. Vanilla, cinnamon, a little bit of baking spices, very light, but some baking spices hidden in there. And it's very creamy. Yeah. Creamy, slight caramel. It's sweet. It's very sweet and creamy. A little bit of baking spice, but yeah. I'm gonna go in for another one. Cheers. The finish, it's very soft, very delicate. There's a little bit of leathery finish to it. Slightly oaky, which is, it is 7 years old, not too old. You don't tend to taste too much oak in a 7-year-old, but there definitely is the oak. It's not super complex, it's not super long. Like I said, wheats are very easygoing. I actually got a funny comment semi-recently about the leather taste. What does leather taste like? As a leather worker myself, I taste a lot of it, accidentally. Whether I'm getting some, like I'm getting the end of the needle thread wet, and that just was through the leather, and you do tend to it obviously doesn't taste like actual leather, but it does have like just very raw, leathery taste. Whether it's the chemicals or the vegetable tanness, best way, find something that is leather and just kind of sniff it. And how it smells is kind of how it tastes. As weird as that may be. So, nose, cinnamon, vanilla, Very, very light and sweet and refreshing. The palate is vanilla, cinnamon, light baking spices, creamy, a little bit of caramel. It's just sweet, creamy, but delicate. The perfect balance. The finish is not super long, not super complex. Very slight oak. It is sweet and soft, a little bit of leathery. It's great. This is sweeter than the Special Reserve Wellers that I have had. I have not had the 107, the 12-year-old, or the full proof, so I can't comment on those. But this is, when it comes to this compared to the Special Reserve, I would say this is, hands down better. And it is more expensive, so I would expect that. But yeah, so this is pretty good. But being that Passover is next week, and these are all released after Passover, I figured today, almost dropped it. What the? I don't know what it got caught on. I figured let's kick out the rye. Well, I got it, right? Let's put this guy to use. As Matt from 80H Whiskey would say, America. He's hilarious. If you haven't watched any of his videos, I recommend it. Matt, watching Matt sniff and drink, and he's so comical. And he is the best whiskey taster as of last year. So it is really funny. Yeah, I definitely recommend checking him out. All right. All right. So now, this is the rye recipe. So this is mash bill 1 or 2. This is not a rye, or this is not a rye whiskey. This is a rye bourbon. So, yeah. So being that it's mash bill 1 or 2, that means that this is the same exact ingredients as the standard Buffalo Trace, which is $25, $30, but this is aged 7 years. I think the standard Buffalo Trace they say is 5 to 7. So, let's go and nose this, and let's dig into this. Oh yeah. Cinnamon, spice. Yeah, I do get a lot of baking spices and just spice in general. A little bit of the leathery note. Maybe. No, definitely leather note. Slight honey. The nose reminds me a lot of the regular Buffalo Trace, which, it should, because it is the same. It is the same juice. Let's go in for a sip. Cheers. I'm getting a lot more oak in this than I did in the wheat. They are both 7 years. It's not charred oak, it's fresh oak. I'm getting a little bit of citrus, some honey, not too much. I definitely got more honey on the nose than on the palate. Some vanilla. The spice is there. It's not as obviously spicy as a rye, but it definitely has a nice spice kick to it. Oak, citrus, honey, vanilla, and spice. Not charred oak. It's just like fresh oak. The finish is longer than the wheat, which makes sense. Definitely a lot of baking spices. The oak kind of comes back into the finish. It's pretty long. But again, to remind you, the oak is not charred. I'm a huge charred oak person. This is not charred oak. Almost like slightly smoky oak, if that makes any sense. Like, I definitely, it's a little there. But it's sweet, and it does linger. It coats the mouth. It's pretty oily, so I'm going to go for another sip. Why not? Got nothing else to do tonight. Oh, yeah. But it does. It tastes just like the regular Buffalo Trace. It's reminding me a lot. You know what? Let's go. There's a Buffalo Trace night tonight. Oh yeah. This is more complex. A little bit more spicy. Yeah, definitely. I'm going for a sip. Wow. Let me check something real fast. Okay. So not much of an alcohol difference, but this actually tastes slightly more ethanol-y. This is more citrus, more bacon spice. This tastes slightly more refined. I guess that's a good way to say it. Still getting the vanilla and the honey. Definitely still the honey. Finish is also just about the same. All right, so I think that settled it for this guy. Would I spend $40 on this versus this? You know, because this is 25 to 30 bucks. I don't know if I would. You know, I wouldn't. I would not go out and seek this. I'm not going to go hunt this every year. If this falls into my lap, I definitely would pick it up, especially for suggested retail 40. I'd not spending 50 bucks because I can buy 2 of these guys. Yeah, it just goes to show you how great the regular Buffalo Trace is. But now, the bigger question is, since this is a wheated review, the wheat. Would I spend 40 bucks on this? Yes. Would I spend 50 bucks on this? Yes. Would I spend 60 bucks on this? Yes. Would I spend higher? No. Don't think I would. So, to me, I would look at this as an attainable Weller's for myself. I can find these semi-regular on the shelf where I'm at, especially right after Passover. Mom and pop places, you know, that's actually how I discovered these 2 bottles. My girlfriend's dad just randomly stumbled across them in a little tiny shop right by where he lives. We went in, picked them up. They sat on the shelf for months. I guess people just didn't know about them. So, I'm not going to seek the rye out. I am going to seek this out. I'm not going to pay a premium, but I'll hunt this down every year. But this year I am after the straight rye. So look out, everyone. That straight rye is mine. Mine. That is all. Well, I'm not crazy. We did just watch Birds of Prey. I am not crazy. So, I hope you guys have a great night. I'm gonna finish these glasses. I'm gonna go back to the wheat because I absolutely love it. And don't forget to like, subscribe, comment down below. Let me know if you've tried any of these, what your thoughts are, if you have the straight rye. If you can compare it, you know, to me, if you can compare it to the standard Buffalo Trace, that'd be fantastic. But yeah, love to hear your thoughts on anything and everything. And to everyone celebrating Passover, cheers. Totally forgot to ask Alexa for a review. So next week, though, I already had decided I'm doing George Daigle 15. So I didn't ask her this week. I'm very excited to bring you George Daigle 15. It had just dropped, so let's see how that works.